What does a HDMI capture card do? It basically gets a signal from another device and turns it into something you can use on your computer. That's an overview of it. But a more detailed view is if you have something with a HDMI out, what is a HDMI out? HDMI is a type of a connector, which is a cable that you can use to get signal from one device to another. If you have a DVD player, if you have a computer console, you'll know what a HDMI is, because that's what allows you to plug the system together. So think of it like a lead. It leads the signal from one device to another to output a signal. But what you can use a HDMI capture card to do is use the HDMI card and get a USB signal into your computer or laptop, which in turn allows you to use a video feed on your computer, record it, and even live stream it. So if you're doing any type of live streaming on Facebook, Zoom, Twitch, or anything like that, then this type of thing will come in very handy, because you can basically get your feed in a cheaper way. The alternative would be buying a camera which is designed to be used in that way, which obviously costs a lot more money. So if you were to buy a cheap camera with a HDMI out and a clean HDMI, what a clean HDMI is, it shows that the feed you are seeing does not have any menus on it, because some cameras by default, when plugged into a HDMI, will show you things like battery life or is it in focus, those little menus that you see on there. So when you're buying a camera, make sure to check if it is a clean HDMI out. Get a cheap HDMI capture card, plug it into your computer, and you can actually record videos and stream videos over multiple sites like Facebook Live, Twitch, Zoom, Skype. You could use it for meetings and things like that. So that's what a HDMI capture card is. It's basically a little device that turns your signal from your camera into something you can use on your computer to record your video or gameplay, or any other thing that has a signal which can be fed into a HDMI card. What are capture cards and are they necessary for you to buy? So right now I am using this capture card right here. It's a Camlink 4K capture card. Why do I use this card? I use this card because I can get my camera video feed in high definition. Okay, so now we look at the Pro option. We have the Camlink. This one is plugged in via HDMI straight out of the camera, same lens, 2.8, ISO 200, 1080p we're doing it into OBS, and we are getting the audio via the capture card. So video quality wise, I want to compare this. We'll do a quick side by side to see how that looks, but there are a few things I'm going to mention about each of these cards. So watch the next elements and you'll see what I'm talking about. I used to use a webcam, and I used to also use my DSLR camera via USB, and the quality was not excellent. It was a little bit blurry. I wasn't able to get 1080p video out of it for live streaming quality. And now, because everybody is live streaming a lot more, it's very important to have good quality video that is nice and sharp, shows what you want to show. You can easily use multiple cards to use things like multiple cameras like I'm using here. So the Camlink is an option that lets you use your camera as a webcam. So if you already own a DSLR camera and you want to use that in a new way, you buy this capture card, you plug it to your computer, and hey, you've got a great camera to allow you to be able to live stream in good quality. You'll be pretty hard pushed to get this type of quality from any webcam. So if you're thinking about a live stream and you have a camera already, what you can do is get yourself a card. They come in many forms. I purposely use the Camlink 4K because I found it to be a card that you can just set and forget. I've never had any issues with this. What I mean by a capture card is it allows you to use your camera, your video in a new way. You might buy a Camlink card, but wait a minute, is your camera compatible to go with that card? It may not be. You need to keep a few things in mind, such as, does your camera allow you to send out a clean feed via the HDMI? What does that mean? You don't want a menu showing on there, because this would look really bad if I had a little battery in the top corner telling me how much percentage I had left, or a little timer on the bottom saying record. So that we don't want. So some cameras have that which are older. Newer cameras tend to be clean. You also want a face detection option in live view. So when it focuses automatically when you move about, we don't want you out blurry when you're doing a live stream. Should you buy the cheapest HDMI capture card? Well, you want a quick answer? You know why? I did a test on it. Luckily, I did it just on my own streams. And I stream up to 2 hours with my camera setups. So if you're not familiar with that, I have my remote control here that I use like an ATM mini replacement. I have my front screen. I have the top down screen. I have the wide view over there where I normally walk to my standing desk, and obviously that's a Panasonic camcorder, and obviously the top down shots and a few more cameras. So it gives you an idea of how I'm using this setup. You might be just making videos for yourself, and if that card crashes, you can just stop the recording and make a new recording, fine. But if you're doing a live stream and this thing crashes and then you have to reset it, that looks totally out of place. You might have to end the live stream. So that's why don't go cheap in that example. So what happened with this one? I plugged it in. I was live streaming on Amazon, just a standard stream for myself and the audience, and it malfunctioned on me. Luckily, I have multiple cameras. So all I did was I recovered, because you have to be on your feet, don't you? I basically went and it crashed. I was like, okay. What we'll do now is we'll go over to my standing desk and we'll continue this video, because I want to show you a bit more of this setup. So you'll notice there, because I've got multiple cameras, I was able to recover it. And the whole reason I have double cameras is exactly for that reason. I don't trust these cheap capture cards anymore. Even the other one I hold on about. When you have a failure with it, and you notice how much of a pain it causes you, you're better off just spending that couple of $100 on the proper version, which is less likely to crash. And these crashes relate to switching between cameras. So is it the card? Is it the software? OBS is what I'm using, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. Since all my live streams, I've done close to a few hundred live streams now, over a multitude of sites. I've only had 2 occasions where it's frozen my screen, and that was because I was using a Canon webcam tool, which is another thing I need to mention to you. Again, I'm recording this in one take, so it's actually what you see is what you get. So this is a webcam tool. What you'll notice is recently my webcam tool has been crashing. Canon EOS webcam tool. It gives you that screen where it can't recognize the camera. It just says Canon EOS webcam utility on screen. Why is it doing that? Nothing's changed, but I've discovered I have to put my cameras on in a certain routine to avoid that. What does that mean? I have to plug this HDMI capture card in for my Sony cam, which is a top-down shot. I have to turn that on first. I have to open OBS, close OBS. Then I have to plug in my secondary camera, well, that wide view camera, and then I have to turn OBS on, turn OBS off. And now it's recognized those 2 cameras. And then before I go live, my last camera that I need to do is this Canon camera. If I do it in that routine, it works. If that routine is switched around, it just crashes. So that makes me think it's OBS related. However, because I know that quirk, I basically work around it by sticking to my routine. So it's workaroundable. However, I noticed in that routine, when I put this capture card in, wherever routine I tried multiple ways. That camera first, this camera first, that camera, then that camera, this camera, that camera, then that, as in, you get what I mean. But this was just crashing randomly. So the card is not great, and it may be a cheaper version. It may have the similar inputs. It shows up as USB video. However, after my experience with that cheap card, I'm going to say to you, don't buy it. It's not worth the headache. You'll save it. You'll probably get it for $5, $6, but the amount of time you're going to spend to try and fix the issue, my time's quite valuable now. So I want something I can just plug and play and record. But anyway, that was a bit of a moan about this HDMI capture card, but sharing what works, what doesn't work. You will always need this. If you're looking at making your DSLR camera into a webcam, this is essential. So it's basically called the 90-degree left angle. Remember, left angle is important. If you'll see what I mean when I show you an example right now. Mini HDMI male this side to HDMI female adapter on this side. Let me take you over to my desk and show you what I mean. So this here will be useful if you're thinking about making your camera a DSLR camera or a camcorder usable via HDMI. There's different sizes of HDMI. This one I have here is a mini HDMI on this side. You can see that there. That mini HDMI is a male, which refers to it going into the camera. So that is a 90 degrees because it's turned there, and it's a left angle. That's important. I'll show you in a second what I mean. I've got my camera and desktop set up there. So with these, what you want to do is a few things. You basically want to get that and have a normal HDMI, because you could then get a normal HDMI cable like I have just over here and use it for the intended purpose. And you'll need a HDMI capture card. All of that I'm going to show you right now. That adapter I was talking about, what does that adapter do? I've got my DSLR camera here. Let me show you what it does. So on the side of the camera, we have a little port. That port allows you to insert your connector. Now, why would I say the left angle is important? Because it actually, if you notice that, the cable drops down. So when I put it on my tripod, it would be like this. If it's a right angle, what would have happened, it would have pointed upwards, and you would have to do a little bend in that. So make sure you get the left angle if you're using it for this purpose. So I've plugged that in there, just like that. So now my camera is plugged in. So now the camera has the lead popping out. Get yourself a standard HDMI. Both HDMIs are male. That will go in to here, just like that. Then I've got a HDMI here. What do I do with that? That's where your HDMI capture card comes in. There's different types you can get. You can see. So I plugged that there. Now that converter has made my HDMI into a USB. Now the USB goes into my computer. So that's how you connect a DSLR to a computer. Now this is a switcher slash splitter. So what it will allow you to do is, if you have multiple cameras like I do here, one there and one up here, I also have a third camera and I want to be able to switch between them remotely. Is that scratched? Oh no, it comes with a little seal on. That looked like it was scratched, but it's basically a little peel off seal. It looks quite nice. 4 in, 1 out. So we can put 4 HDMI cables in there, and using the remote control we can switch between which one we want to show. HDMI switcher, it comes with a power socket. That's a good addition. And the USB cable, it's a normal micro USB, so similar to Android devices and charging. But yeah, that should be a nice little switcher for you. If you have multiple cameras, you can switch on the fly, something like that, which I'm doing right now with the mouse. If you want to use a HDMI switcher to switch between cameras live, this is what you're gonna get. You'll see that I click to the second angle up here, but you'll get that in between screen. So if I go back to number 1, you get that in between screen, which we do not want, but that is going to be a major problem. Switcher should be smooth, and that is not smooth. We have to also point at the actual unit or it won't work. So you can see that's not as nice as we want it to be.